and food value. So growing up, I lived with my grandmother, and my grandmother went between 1 and 5 years. So 5 years ago, I was wondering about some memory deep inside me, and I made some traditional food, and I thought, wow, it brought me back to those memories of my childhood. I will just describe a bit the environment about cooking. Normally people cooked outside, and my great-grandmother lived, so my grandmother could take me to his mother to visit. And I still remember up to today the aroma of the food and the celebration around the food. We would arrive and find porridge ready, and then it was fermented porridge. So we could take the porridge, and then after that, there was fireplace busy with fish. Obambo is a special fish that is preserved it is sun-dried. So that could be boiling for about 2 or 3 hours. And then after that, people would smell the obambo, and you'd find that a meal that was supposed to be for 3 or 4 people, we would be like 25 people. Because they would come in with stories about things and about what is happening in the village. And then in the evening, we would be eating, and some people, children singing and dancing, and a lot of like a real celebration would arise from a normal dinner. So it is these memories of joy and the smell of food and the happiness around, and the connection that how food connected the neighbors, and everybody who was passing by could come and just feast. That is not common here in Europe. So that was my grandmother and my great-grandmother's kitchen was almost close. There was not so much difference. My grandmother died at the age of 102, and I asked her, what is your secret about long life? And she told me that the secret is good food, the traditional food. And that if I eat traditional food, I could live as long as she lived. She had all her teeth intact, she had all her vision, she could still read the Bible. And everything was right, hearing, everything was correct with her by the time she died. And what I remember most is that the week before she died, when I visited her, she told me that, please remember to feed my guests. So that again reminds me of how eating was so important, eating together. Because she's dead, but she's thinking about the people who will attend the funeral. And then I went back my mother now finished her college and took me in. When my mother took me in, it was a complete different world. She said she was a teacher, now retired. Her kitchen was completely different. And that communal eating was not there. There was no time for singing and dancing and inviting everybody. So already I found myself in another world. And I still remember that. And I think all these stories put together made me start my kitchen called Achieng's Kitchen, Jikond Achieng. And the aim of Jikond Achieng is to propel further the traditional foods, the forgotten foods, the underutilized foods, so that we can end up with a healthy kitchen and continue with the story of the traditional food that I learned from my great-grandmother. And also, what I want to add is that they had their own kitchen. They didn't buy everything. They could go buy fish, but they had a kitchen garden. And in the kitchen garden, they intercropped the foods. You could find that there is onion here, and there is cassava there, and banana over there, and everything was in one place. And it's like, and there was no insecticide. Everything just coexisted together, and in a very healthy way. So they were very, very good in that, and they knew how to make their compost, because my grandmother had all the leftovers, the peels from the potatoes or from whatever we were cooking. She could put them behind the house and form a compost which could go back into recycling things. So everything went back to the ground and came back to the table, and it was like a complete, beautiful circle. And so I started Achieng, and Achieng is to continue with that story. And my question today is, how will my granddaughter's kitchen be? Thank you.